Let's face it, as Nintendo fans, we are often left slightly disappointed and scratching our heads asking why. Where is our Super Mario Galaxy 3? Why isn't Metroid out yet? Bring back the Ice Climber seriously, and what were you thinking, the Virtual Boy? Well, sit back as Sean Capri and Bobby Pauls do just that. That's right, this is If We Ran Nintendo. Now, cue the music, maestro.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of If We Ran Nintendo. Here we are yet again, back, my good friend Sean Capri, back from the horrible, cruel United States internet. How are you doing, Sean?
I am back in the freedom that is Canada. We have truly bilingual leaders. We have great internet and great air. But my computer is trying to make me think otherwise right now. I'm glad we've got everything under control.
Well, not going.
I'm using this American-made browser, Google Chrome. You may have heard of it. It keeps crashing.
Really? Really? Ooh,
I'm just kidding. I love America. Look, I've got Captain America cup. I'm drinking from a Captain America cup. I'm literally drinking the Captain America cup. You love me. You just love me.
You just love your lips on Robert Downey Jr.'s head.
I don't mind him either. I like him too.
Okay, so let's.
What do you want to do today?
I want to start off. I want to do some shout outs.
I'm great, by the way. Thank you for asking. I hope you're well.
I'm good. I'm trying to move this along.
Grumpy old.
I know. You know, I'm trying to move it along because look at. Let's add some context to this. I've been dealing with this nonsense for 40 minutes now of his internet not letting him get to me and talk to me and all this nonsense. We were having a good conversation, and then he just clicked eject and left, and then started blaming his browser.
Truth be told, I really had to poop. It's so weird. My computer's never crashed before. Then all of a sudden, my stomach's like...
Wow. Anyway... So, back to shout-outs. No, how was your day back to work today?
Go to your shout-outs.
No. How was your day back to work today?
My day was great. I'm glad to be home. Now get to your shout-outs. I don't want to do this now. You ruined it.
I ruined what?
You ruined it.
I'm not allowed to have a conversation with you?
No, what I actually think happened is you were about to do shout-outs and you realized you didn't have it ready on your phone or whatever you're reading it from. So you're trying
It's a notepad. It's a notepad right in front of me. I have all my notes right here. I'm ready to go. Listed.
Look at that. You wrote it down? You are an old man.
I got everything. Well, I don't want to forget nobody, man. Well, not the
tape it on your phone or something. You're gonna mail that away with a lick stamp and stuff. I don't even know what else do old people do. Why don't you type it up on a typewriter? I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm making. I'm in a defensive place right now. I was mad that my computer wasn't working. I'm lashing out, and I shouldn't do that.
Exactly. I didn't do anything to you. I
know, and I realize that. Look, I'm growing up. I'm maturing. I'm really sorry.
You millennials. So.
I'm not a millennial.
Whatever, it's just trying to get it done.
But people who aren't will take offense. That's like a bad word. Don't call me a millennial.
Whatever, man. It's a way of life for some people.
Fucking baby boomer over there.
Yeah, I'm not a baby boomer.
Just see the same thing.
I'm not that old. Come on.
Don't call me that.
I'm an 80s kid.
All right.
Okay, so we got the silliness out?
Yeah, I'm just a little sweaty now.
Oh, Lord. Hey, Yo Crowder. She is such a good friend. And always
what's up, Danielle?
Tweeting us. So what's up, Danielle? Billy Blaze. You guys had a little moment this week.
I did we were having a little YouTube conversation there.
Yeah, I like that. This one's a friend of yours, but I want to give a shout out to because I was checking out her Twitch feed.
Oh, yeah.
Fiona McKenna.
What's up? McKinnon. You gotta finish those words when you're writing them on a notepad.
Yeah, I know.
I scribbled the end. I know exactly what happened there. Yeah. What's up, Fiona?
Fiona did an amazing job on your predictions podcast. and she needs to know that. So she did awesome, and I wanted to say that. But this one, Sam Lubs, my boy Lubs, dude is on Twitter, always like sending really super nice tweets and stuff like that. Like when we did the interview with the guys from Mother to Earth, that was all Sam Lubs doing because they were looking for, podcasters or whatever. And Sam was like the first one to be like, you got to go talk to the Nintendo Guru and get on his channel. So Sam, thank you so much. Barry Dunn from Nintendo Impact Gaming. Just wanted to, Barry and I are going to do something next month, right around like July 11th. But I've been on his podcast twice now. Good dude from Ireland. I told him he needs to reach out to you because he needs to get on We the Gamer Cast.
Let's do it.
You will have a blast with this guy. He is awesome. And last one, Justin Masson from Nintendo Dads, our good friend. Nintendo Dads, Justin, he starts off this show every week with that little nice
sultriness, sultry voice.
Yes.
Commanding presence. And I said it on my show, We the Gamercast, but I also want to say it here. Thank you so much to the Nintendo Dads for having me on their show as well. They gave me a code for Runbow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I've yet to try it. I got to try it. I got to get on this. This week is nuts.
Got to
try this. But can we play multiplayer?
Yes.
Like over the internet.
Over the internet, you can get
dial it up. You
get like 10 people. I think you get like 10 people racing at the same time.
That sounds awesome. Let's do it. When are we gonna do gaming night?
Well, you let that go. I told you.
I was in America.
That's not my fault. That's not my problem. But real quick before we get going, let's do a little business real quick.
Okay.
So Justin Masson, we want to have him as our first official guest on the show.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So
nice.
He went to Ireland and he just came back yesterday. So he shot me a message and was like, hey, I'm back in Canada and when do you want me on? And I was like, because before he had gone away, I had shot him a message like, listen, we really want to get you on. So I had said to him today, I was like, well, we're recording today at 8:30. If you want to come on it today, you're more than welcome. And then he said, well, I'm busy today. And then next week, I think he's tied up as well. So he's looking at the 20th. So my question to you is, are you free on the 20th to record?
Probably.
Okay.
I feel like I don't want to open up another tab on my Google Chrome.
That's fine.
It's Made in America Google Chrome. Yeah, probably Mondays are good. Today's a Monday.
Yeah.
Today's good.
Okay. So we'll do that. We'll bring him on. So Justin, if you're listening, you are booked for the 20th. I'll send you a message as well, but you'll get a kick out of this. So you ready to jump into this?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first topic, the Wii U. Wii U, I basically want to discuss where it failed and what we would have done if we ran Nintendo differently than what Nintendo did and things of that nature. So I think right off Jump Street, the naming was wrong. I get where the company was going. I understand that they wanted to piggyback off the success of the Wii. But I think they misread the tea leaves, and I think they misunderstood that people were exiting the Wii. The casuals, I think they thought would follow them, but they were sadly mistaken. I just don't think that they saw that. I think they thought that the casuals will keep following us. We're the it thing. They're going to stay with us. And that didn't happen. So I think right off Jump Street, the name is wrong. I think that either if you want to stay with Wii, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I would have named it Wii too. I think you needed to come with a stronger understanding that, like, hey, we're moving on. And we're creating a sequel. And we're moving to the next level. Things of that nature. I understand why they wanted to hang on to the brand and all that. Like, you had a lot of success. But just that was a bad name, I feel. And it confused retailers, it confused customers, it confused everybody across the board, where I legitimately walked into stores and would listen to clerks tell people like, oh, no, this adds on to your current Wii. You don't need a new system. And people were like, $300 for this gamepad? Like, that's insane. And people, they were like, yeah, that's why I wouldn't. It's a waste of money. And I'm sitting there going, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, it's a new system altogether. And so that was Jump Street to me, where I feel like they messed up. My question to you.
It's funny, like when I look at the Wii U, and then I also look at the Xbox One, we now have 2 consoles in a row that botched the original messaging. And I don't know that we have really any, well, maybe Sega Dreamcast, and it's available now.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. I don't know. I don't think it was a Dreamcast. The one before that,
It was
Saturn,
a Saturn.
maybe.
Yeah.
So the original messaging, like however you're introducing a console.
Which one was the $99.99?
That was the Dreamcast.
Okay, so it was a Saturn, was the one before. Like it was the
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's what I remember. I'm like, oh yeah, we knew that $99.99 date.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all about like that original introduction. I feel like we've now had a couple of botched intros or reveals or whatever, and the name, I'm totally with you. I think that the name is totally wrong, but I think one thing that gets missed when we talk about this sort of stuff is how important it is to get that first impression. Xbox ruined it, and PS4 totally capitalized. Wii U ruined it and was never able to come back.
Yeah.
And when I think about it, I'm actually a little surprised about that. You would think that like that first reveal only impacts a small number of people. Like that isn't watched by the casuals, everybody else. But the thing about it is that that's a message that is directly for the hardcore. They're for the early adopters. They're for the influencers. Anybody who's going to be talking about this outside of the company making the console, that's what that reveal is all. That's who it's for.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, it would almost seem like you almost could have overcome the name Wii U if you had your messaging down right from the start. But the fact that all we saw was the gamepad, nebulous and ambiguous messaging around it, Nintendo never came back from that. It was never able to reverse that first impression.
Yeah.
See, I myself, I give a really good first impression. You see,
I think,
and then I ruin it with bad internet and bad computers.
That's fine.
Anybody paying attention to the video has noticed I've changed locations.
Would you stop? So I think, no, I wasn't. So I think the other issue is that, and I think that leads into the NX. I think that's why they're taking their time to launch this right and do it right, because they got a bad taste in their mouth from the Wii U and how that launched. I think the next thing, when you look at it, was the launch lineup. And it just wasn't, I mean, it had a lot of games. It did have a lot of games. But there's twofold problems. The first problem is that the Nintendo first-party games just wasn't there at all. Because it went through the same thing with the 3DS. Like, they launched the 3DS, and it didn't have a lot of solid Nintendo, your staple games there. It wasn't until like almost a year later that they actually started launching good games that people were like, oh, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm doing. So in that first year, there wasn't a whole lot. And the other issue is third parties. They were there at the very beginning. They left very shortly after. I think
they left before they'd even launched.
Pretty much. For the most part.
Like with Rayman, you guys are talking about in the Geekcast this week with Rayman Legends becoming multi-platform before the Wii U even launched. I remember playing Nintendo World in New York City before, like when it was a launch game, and I remember being, this is one of the reasons I want this system, because that game was so good. That
game, and that's what blows me away, is there's not many people that played that game. That game should have been, and that's what I'm gonna lean on right now. I would have sat down with Ubisoft after playing that demo, and I would have said, we want to pack this in with the Wii U.
Yes.
Because that game to me was your killer app for the Wii U. That thing took full advantage of the gamepad. And they actually wanted to do Amiibo before Nintendo did Amiibo. If you watch those original demos and trailers, there's a thing where they're taking toys and they're plopping it down on the gamepad and they're going into the game. So essentially,
of course.
Yeah, essentially, Ubi was on track to do what you needed to do. So I feel like, to me, Nintendo hasn't done a pack-in with a third party in a very long time. Like, it's been, man, it's been years. I can't, you know what? It's been so long that I couldn't even tell you the last time they did it. You know, they haven't, they definitely
on a launch,
not on a launch, but like
or
on
at all?
In a console, like a pack-in.
About a Skylanders console, I can't
that was
remember
they did Skylanders. They did Skylanders for the Wii U. That's true. They did do Skylanders for the Wii U.
Not to crap all over your point there, but yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't happen nearly enough.
Yeah.
Packing games, I think, is an interesting point too, because I feel like away from this console-only skew that we saw with Xbox One and with PlayStation and some of the older ones too. Like when consoles first launch, it's just the machine and you get one controller.
Yeah.
Nintendo needs to go back to like when you got with Mario and Duck Hunt and the Blaster. Like, let's do something like or even Wii Sports. Something that right off the start, and not Nintendo Land. I know you have love for Nintendo Land. We need something important.
No, I have love for Nintendo Land, but it's nothing like that was a horrible game to pack in. It was a mistake, and it should not have been the game that went in that console. I really feel that Rayman should have been the one. That should have been, they should have gone to Ubi and said, look, we want this game to stay exclusive to us, only on us, and we're going to pack it in with the console, because that's guaranteed sales for Ubi. Like, you're basically telling Ubisoft, we're guaranteeing you 5, 6, 8 million copies of this game going to get sold. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like,
I wonder what they saw that caused them to pull out. Like, they saw something. They realized something.
I think they saw that the system didn't have much power to it. I think that they saw that what they were dealing with the Xbox 360 and the and the PS3, I think they realized pretty early this thing's hard to build for. This thing's hard to manufacture games for and make games for and code and all that stuff. And I think that's when they were looking. And then I think they also just followed the hype and like, man, I don't think many of these consoles are going to move. Like, it was real easy to see. This isn't
if you look back.
Yeah, if you look back at it, you can see.
Yeah, I was blind to it at the time.
Yeah, when I remember that initial sale of Wii U's that just kind of like they blew them out the doors, and then it was like, oh my god, they sold out. Oh my god, this is crazy. And then they got their restocks, which normally at the restocks, that's when the trouble is, because they get that first push of restocks just before Christmas, and they're going too. And I remember them restocks and going into Best Buy and stuff and seeing them stacked 2, 3, 4, 5 deep, and I was like, oh, this is bad. They shouldn't be any of these on the floor. And I think that's where they ran into the trouble. That's right then and there. I think that sent up flags for people to be, because didn't they, if I'm not mistaken, Ubi, they delayed the game, didn't they?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I thought Ubisoft delayed Rayman.
Yeah, they did. So it's supposed to be at launch, and then it became launch window, and then I think they pulled out altogether in terms of the exclusivity. So third parties weren't there. The ones who were there, it was like a laughable stock of last year's Game of the Year editions and all of that kind of stuff, rehash stuff that we'd all played before. So that quickly became, cannon fodder for the internet to just totally so. They were great games, but they were a year old by the time it all came out. Zombie U was really the most unique thing. But again, like, these are games, Zombie U and Nintendo Land, these are games that are holding up the weight of the world and they're scrawny little guys like me. Like they got no strength to pull that. You need a guy like Mario, or you need somebody like Zelda, and he just wasn't there. New Super Mario Brothers U wasn't going to cut it.
No, not when, and we discussed this before, not when you're coming off of the Wii version of it. Like, they just did New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, like, not that long before. Like, maybe less than a year prior. So when you got that rehash, it was like, oh, really? Again? You know, this is ridiculous, you know? And then the other problem was they carbon copied their rebuild of the 3DS. So the 3DS was struggling as well, and they turned around and they put out Donkey Kong Country Returns. They pulled that off the Wii. That actually did really well. They took Fire Emblem Awakening. That was doing really well. But then they come out with Animal Crossing, Mario 3D Land, Yoshi, all these different games. And then not 6 months later, Nintendo goes, oh, the 3DS is selling now. Okay, all these games, we're bringing them to the Wii or the Wii U. And it just didn't go over that well. People were just like, I just played. Like, okay, you're giving me 3D World, but I just played 3D Land. Why do I want to play more levels of the same? Even though it wasn't the same game by any stretch of the imagination. It's a totally different game. People just didn't care.
Because they needed something else. But the entire thing about the Wii is we were waiting for something to tell us this is the new console. And so by rehashing all the old stuff, it just perpetuated the notion that that misconception that we all had at the beginning, it's an extension or an add-on. And then the games fed into that notion. Yeah. Like, yeah, it does seem like this is just an extension or an add-on to the Wii because these games aren't revolutionary. They're just versions of them. So Nintendo didn't do themselves any favor. They didn't prove that this thing was next gen, quote unquote, which, as silly as that sounds, that is important for the vocal minority out there. They need to hear that stuff. You need to appease to those people.
And for the people that say, oh, but the reason why they struggle is because PlayStation moved on to PS4 and Xbox moved on to the Xbox One. No, because the Wii was behind the PS3 and the 360, and they crushed. Now, granted,
I'm glad.
Yeah, granted, they brought in a lot of casuals, but they crushed. That was their last console where they had hardcore fans and casuals all buying it because, listen, 120-something million people aren't just people off the street. You have to have your hardcore fans. The problem was that they got into a lot of shovelware. And it pushed the hard because when I would go to the store to go buy a new Wii game, I was like, there is absolutely nothing on this console. It's all trash. This is unbelievable. Where is the Nintendo seal of quality where they're like being protective? They was just like to open up the floodgates and let everybody make stuff for them. So
the Wii's life cycle was too long.
Yeah.
So that by the time the Wii U came around, everybody dropped off, which sort of feeds into my whole agreeing with PlayStation and Xbox bringing out these half-step consoles because they need to recapture people before they fall off. You need to reignite your fan base before it happens again.
But the thing of it is the problem with Nintendo was it's what they always do.
Like if the Wii U came out 2 years before it did, maybe 3 years, totally different story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They cut Xbox and PlayStation at the knees. They've got the most advanced machine.
I think the biggest mistake that Nintendo makes is when they say, we have a new console coming out, and then the thing don't show up for 2 years. You lose sales for 2 years. You got to stop that stuff.
It's almost like they've done that again since then.
Yeah, they're in the same boat where they're losing
when they moved
sales
into mobile
on the Wii U because they announced the NX. Now, I get it. I understand why they had to announce the NX or talk about the NX because the minute they announce mobile, typical Japanese gaming companies are they announce mobile, oh, we're staying with nothing to really prove and back it, and then boom, 6 months later, they're making strictly mobile games. They wanted to not scare the consumer into thinking like, well, I'm not going to buy. I can get Mario on my mobile phone. Why do I need it on a home console?
Yeah.
So I understand why they did that. But with the
they
Wii,
could have rededicated themselves to the Wii U at that time. Like I've heard that before, and I agree. Like they maybe they needed to say that they're still dedicated to console gaming. Definitely they need to say that, but they could have reaffirmed their affinity and their connection and their commitment to the Wii U at that time.
Yeah.
But they just are kind of appeasing to the people who are like, what's next? Like, we need to, we're done with the Wii U. They knew people were done with the Wii U.
So okay, let's get into some things that we would do, because I think we basically went on what everybody kind of knows what happened. Let's talk about what we would do in order to, if we were running Nintendo, how we would have changed things. So obviously the name,
right?
I probably wouldn't have named it the Wii U, Wii 2, anything. I would have gone something totally different. Maybe something that touched on the gamepad, like something like that. Like, I don't know. But I definitely don't think I would have gone the way they're going now, or the way they did go with it. If I felt that I had to keep the Wii name, it definitely would have been Wii 2. No doubt about it. I think Wii U is the dumbest.
Do you tie into the DS family at all? Like, or do you separate?
I mean, you probably could. Because technically it is a dual screen. You know what I mean? Like, you're, and that was my first initial reaction, was like, oh my god, they're going to take everything they're doing on the DS, at the time DS, and they're going to amp it up. And then, now I get the 3DS. Oh, this is going to be crazy. They're the masters of two screens, and they just didn't. They never capitalized on it.
It's amazing to me, like, what the expectation was for that second screen, because we've been playing DS games for years and years, and the second screen never really was anything too crazy. There were some games that took advantage of it really well, but most games just had just your run-of-the-mill second, like your maps, or you can touch your inventory or things like that. And the Wii U basically did the exact same thing, but for some reason we were expecting it to do so much more. And I always got upset about hearing that. Why do we have this gamepad? Cut it from the bundle. Get rid of it. Just have the, like. I was always really fine with it. So yeah, naming it, I might piggyback on the DS thing and try to tap into that, because it was only people who were really into Nintendo who made that connection. Yeah. You need to make that a little bit stronger, a little bit more apparent and obvious for people to say this is a tie-in.
The next thing the next thing would be third party. So I liked what Nintendo did in the beginning, and if you look at the third party content that came out, yes, there was a lot of rehashes, but the Batman game that came utilized the gamepad very well. Rayman utilized the gamepad extraordinarily well. Zombie U utilized.
I never played Mass Effect on it.
Yeah, had Mass Effect 3. See, that's where I feel like that's where they started to have issues. The minute that Activision comes to us and says, we're going to give you Mass Effect 3, I'm going to go, nope.
EA.
I'm sorry, EA. The minute that EA says we're bringing Mass Effect 3, I'm going to go, no. You're going to give us the trilogy like you're giving everybody else. You're not going to give us part 3, and then at the same time, these guys can go by. Because I feel like, to me, that's, you're not giving me your honest to goodness. It's strange, because ever since, I totally forget his name, who's the president of EA right now?
Peter Moore. Well, at the time he was. He's not
anymore.
But I know he.
But I feel like that was always an issue, because he's a former Xbox. Because the ties between Xbox and EA are so tight right now, and I feel like that's where a lot of that comes from. But that's neither here nor there. So I would have gone to the third parties. Like I said, I would have offered Rayman a pack-in with the Wii U. I would have pushed for them to get the game done quicker so we could pack it in. I would have loved to see them do the toy line that they were talking about, to bring the games in the original true to form Amiibo. I feel like it was before Amiibo was even discussed. The next thing that I would do, and I think this is a very difficult thing, I think they should have done it. They should have dropped the gamepad after the 2-year mark. When they realized that the thing was not moving, they should have said, how do we get this console cheaper? Because I feel like the money was the issue, was another issue. It was the most expensive console.
I was going to say cost. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the most expensive console that we had.
By the way.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They still haven't dropped the price. It's like, in what world do we live in that you're not dropping the price after 4 years? You know what I mean? Like, or 5 years. Like, you're talking about moving on to the next console. Everybody knows this next console is coming, and you're still hanging on to a $300 price tag. Newsflash, I could buy an Xbox One plus get 2 games for $300. What in the world would I buy a Wii U for $300 and 1 game, which is probably Nintendo Land or New Super Mario Bros. U? Pass all day long. I don't want that. I feel like, so for me, I would have, because you looked at Xbox and their sales were struggling out the gate. And what did they do? They dropped the Kinect, dropped the price $100, and they started flying off the shelves. But the problem was it just a little too late to catch up to Sony, because Sony was gone at that point.
Right, but it definitely stopped the bleeding. Like they stitched some of the damage there for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's what you're kind of getting at with the gamepad. They might have seen something, but now in hindsight we can look back and say it's because they didn't. Things only got worse.
Well, because
so I want to clarify, because I agree with your point. I think that they probably should have, but I disagree with that perception that that's what was needed. I really liked the gamepad. I thought it was really great. I never expected anything more than what we got from it. However, the majority of people out there felt a certain way. So I agree with the notion to go against my own feelings to say, look, this is how people feel about it. Cut it.
At this point, you cut it and you offer it as a peripheral. Sell it for $100.
Because they said that right from the beginning too, which was confusing. They said you cannot buy a second one.
Well,
so that again,
in the very beginning, they said we are going to offer to sell a second one because you can add a second one to the console and it will still run. Because in my mind, what would have been ideal for that was like Madden. Because when I played Madden, I picked my plays on the gamepad. I didn't pick them on the TV. So when I was playing with friends, it was fun because I could actually pick the. So if that's what would have been even better, if you had a buddy come over with his gamepad or whatever, you sync them up and you both play at the same time. That would have been better. But they did talk about it first, but the systems didn't sell, so they never brought it out, that option.
I remember everybody talking about how awesome it would be if everybody had a gamepad, and then anyway, whatever they said. Yeah, the gamepad is just so unfortunate that
I love the gamepad.
Every instance of using the gamepad was a way to elevate the game to a new level. It didn't make it the greatest thing in the world, but every time you talk to somebody like, I'm so glad I can just do this. Yeah. Or Minecraft comes for the Wii U. I wish the gamepad would do this very basic thing. Yeah. And people are upset about that. So, I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah. But I think that when you look at it, you look at it and you go, okay, the core have bought this. The ones that we know will support us, our core fan group has bought this. They've bought into the gamepad. They're talking, they're praising it, and it's not moving. I feel like this, if they would have dropped the gamepad and offered it as a peripheral, lowered the price of the console to another $100, because initially it went from $350 to $300. If you drop that console to $200, and then you hit peak, because right at the time you do that price drop, you're also hitting them with Smash, Mario Kart, Yoshi, Kirby. I think we're talking a brand new, totally different game. I think because when you look at that one stretch that they had where they were topping 90 on the Metacritic on every single game that was coming out, they would have totally, I feel, turned the tide. I feel like that would have been the sounding of the bell and going, we got this. We're bringing them back. And it just feels like everything they did was just always a step behind. They just never could gain that traction to move forward. And I think their past and their ability to turn things around quickly on a lot of other things, especially like like I said, the 3DS, they struggled just as well, and they turned it around and it took off.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was the same situation.
Remember, they dropped the price, and then they had the ambassador program too, right?
Yes.
You were probably one of the ambassadors.
Yeah.
You got a whole boatload of free games.
20 games for free.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't. Of all the things that you rip off from the 3DS, you don't do that. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't
away.
admit doing it wrong twice. There's a whole part of that too. It's a very proud company.
Yeah.
And
so
apologizing twice in that way is kind of a big deal.
And I know a lot of people that are listening to this right now are probably going like, "You're crazy! Don't drop. Why would you drop the gamepad?" I look at it like this: you have to get competitive. If you really truly, strongly feel that you have to have this gamepad, well, then at that point, just lower the price of the console. But my feeling
bundle it in with games. You used to see that happen all the time. That's Nintendo's game.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do. They release a peripheral that you can purchase separately, but when the time comes that you really need it, it comes with this game, like the Rumble Pack with Star Fox, or the RAM expansion pack, all these different things, or the Motion Plus controller.
When
you could buy that with Skyward Sword.
When they hit
all these different things.
When Splatoon hit, if they felt like they needed it, they could have done something there.
Yes.
Mario Maker, you got to have it. You do something then, and you sell this peripheral. Yes. That would have been the time to go, okay, here you go. But up until that point, like, they tried to use Splatoon and Mario Maker to try to turn the tide and make people buy with the gamepad. And at that point, it was over. Nobody cared. They were like, I'm not buying this gamepad. It's over. I feel that's what my heart of hearts feels. I feel that in your heart of hearts too. I feel like that's your three things that can help you to turn the thing around. I think that the name obviously hits it at the beginning. Third parties get you going. Your launch window had to be stronger. I mean, like, they were trying to move to a more mature audience. Like, they funded the whole Ninja Gaiden 3 to come to the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
That just didn't work out. They did Bayonetta, they did Fatal Frame, they did Devil's Third. So they were trying to sway people over. You know what I mean? They were trying to get that hardcore fan in the wheelhouse, but it just never happened. So for me, I think that, there's a few things that just had to be done, and they didn't do it. But if that's, again, if it's us, we run Nintendo, name definitely has to be something totally different, or we too. Third parties, you have to shore up them. You have to make that stronger. You can't let them guys walk from you. And I think Ego just made them go, okay, well, we'll sell the consoles and then you'll come back crawling. And that didn't happen. They should have been like, hold on, don't leave. Let's talk this out. Let's figure this out. Offer some pack-ins to the games, to the consoles, because Ubisoft brought that up. Ubisoft said that. Even I think Activision even said it to Nintendo. Like, you guys got to, like, offer this stuff. Like, look what Sony does. Look what Xbox does, So, look, I mean, I bought my Wii U, or I bought my PS4. It's an Arkham Knight edition, and it came packed in with Arkham Knight and all that stuff. The Battlefront edition, like, that's something Nintendo needed to do, and they weren't doing. And then when I feel like they needed a price drop on the console, and when they realized they couldn't do it, or the console wasn't selling, they should have just pulled the plug on the gamepad and moved on with it. So
they had such an easy time to do it too. They had a nice head start. PlayStation. As soon as those consoles launch, boom, drop it.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. That's such an easy. Then you're that much cheaper than the next thing. Christmas is that much better for everybody trying these three consoles. Instead, it was a 2-console race.
Yep. And I think they thought too. Well, first off, I don't think that they thought that PS4 and Xbox One were coming anytime soon when they announced. I feel like they thought they had more time. They felt like they had a time to, like, build this thing where third parties could easily port over because we're stronger.
Yeah, that was a quick year.
It was a quick turnaround, man. Sony, the minute that announced, Sony just dropped the pipe and we're going. We're out of here. So that's it. That's all we got on that one, I think. You don't have anything else, do you?
My only thing would just be add a freaking real Mario game to launch with that. But I feel like we kind of touched on that. But I want to specifically say you can't launch a Nintendo game without a bona fide Mario game.
Yeah.
That has to be the rule from now on.
I think, but here's why I think they went the way they went. When you look at the numbers and you look at Super Mario Galaxy,
no, I know
1 and 2, and you look at 3, or you look at the new Super Mario Wii, it sold a lot more copies than Galaxy, like double the amount of copies.
There is a value to winning over the hardcore that is lost. It's not found in sales numbers directly.
Yes.
In that, like, you don't see a huge number of Galaxy games being sold. You see it in the 2D, but you can't read it that literally. It's because Galaxy is so amazing and so beloved by the people who like the hardcore, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
Speaking so well about that, and then the next step is that everybody else loves. You can't lead, like, you have to lead with your strongest game, and then have the rest follow. So I guess that's really what I'm trying to encapsulate here: is lead with the strong thing, and then have the casual stuff come around, because you have to win over the people who are going to pay top dollar first day. They're going to line up. You have to win those people over first, because the casual people will not line up. They won't pre-order. They don't pay attention to any of this stuff. So you have to get the people who are going to do that anyways.
Well, and the other issue was, if you remember that very first E3 when they announced, and then they did like a sizzle reel, they talked about Smash and made it like it was going to be a launch title. And then when they actually, the next year they come around, they go, oh, well, Smash will be available soon after. It was like 2 years after they launched. You know, like, that's a long time to make people wait for a game. And that was the other thing.
But if we've learned anything from Sony, is that fans aren't really too harsh on the whole accountability thing. They, last year's E3 is a prime example. The 3 biggest announcements, we're not going to see those games for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's true.
Guardian shows up at some point and is likely going to disappoint. But anyways, I keep thinking, like, I get a little sour in my old age, it seems, because you can do these announcements. Everybody will play upset, but they're going to eventually buy the games.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, they're crazy excited about the announcement itself.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't have to be so direct with us. Maybe just promise us stuff and let us know that. I mean, Zelda too, right?
Yeah.
We still haven't seen Zelda. We're about to in a week's time, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, me too.
But we were so excited about Nintendo's E3 when, snap of the finger, we all know what happened.
Yep.
Nothing else than that. But we're so excited. Nintendo had a great showing that year, even though long time. I say go back to that. Whatever.
Yeah.
I know people are going to be disappointed. They're probably not wanting to hear that, but coming soon, then let us know what we have to look forward to in the future, and give us some nebulous date or no date.
Yeah.
Who cares? Let us. It's just something.
Yeah.
But now I'm going on. I'm rambling. Here's Skylander.
Okay, so real quick, I want to go over this pretty quickly. So the NX development kits. There's been rumors that people don't have them. Some people have them. It's in certain people's hands. So what I want to know is, if we ran Nintendo, who gets a development kit? I mean, it's easy to go everybody. It's easy to go everybody, but you don't just give it to everybody, because you want to. First off, you got to manufacture them. You got to get them together. They're not cheap. I think they're like $1,000 a piece or something like that. Maybe a little bit more. Could be like $3,000 a piece. I get that, but that all the Nintendo first parties and all that, they definitely have them. They have to have them at this point. But in terms of third parties,
are you kind of going like broad publisher, or are you going right down to like individual studios that are, like, say, tied to, like, would you say Ubisoft, or would you say like Ubisoft Montreal?
No, I mean just overall, like, because I feel like
Square Enix would be a prime, like
Yes.
for them to rekindle the love back in the day of Squaresoft, bringing all that back. We've talked about this a number of times of rekindling what we had with Nintendo. If there's a way for Nintendo and for Square Enix, to be quite honest, for them to like rise like a phoenix and come back to life, I think would be just awesome. It'd be very symbolic of Japanese games coming back to us. There's life on the PlayStation, but not as we really think about it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yes.
My thing is this. I feel, and this is just how I feel like when Square left Nintendo, they started to get worse. I feel like, regardless of what people think, Final Fantasy VII was being built for a Nintendo console. And then the last minute, when Nintendo said, nope, we're going cartridges, they said, we can't afford it, we're out, and they moved on. But that game was being built in their mind eye. We're going Nintendo, this is the way it's going to be. And at the time, because they were being told that we're going to partner with Sony and do this Nintendo PlayStation, they were being told we're going to make everything for discs. So Final Fantasy VII was supposed to be disc-based, and it was going to be on the Nintendo PlayStation, which wasn't even the Nintendo 64. It was an upgrade of the Super Nintendo. So, but it feels like after that game, it just progressively got worse each year. And
yeah,
it feels like to me that the Bravely Default games, Bravely Default and Bravely Second, are more back to the traditional Final Fantasy style games, and they're bringing it back again. I don't know how Final Fantasy 15 is going to do. I know it's not what people are expecting. I know it's not a traditional Final Fantasy game. To me, it feels a lot.
That's okay. We can play Persona instead.
Yeah, but it feels a lot like Monster Hunter to me. But that's irrelevant. That's neither here nor there. So
fair.
But I agree with what you're saying.
Another one that I would go, if I'm going to drill down to a developer, like not quite as broad as, because I feel like that's kind of a cop out going as broad as Square Enix. It's like so many developers. I would love to see CD Projekt Red bring something to the NX. I feel like aside from like Naughty Dog, BioWare, I think that those are kind of like my top three favorite developers, at least. And it's not even like that I was a huge fan of The Witcher, but I appreciated what they did, that they're bringing forward, and I would love to see that spirit live on a Nintendo console. My only thing is I feel like they're very focused on PCs, so, and with like very high powered machines, and so I worry that the NX is not going to be what that developer is looking for in terms of horsepower. I think that's a lot to do with fit as well. We've talked about this, the word fit. Does it fit with the style of games that are there? With what capabilities does the console have, and does that mesh with the vision that the developer has? Because I think CD Projekt Red is really pushing the boundaries with what all technology can do, not limited to a certain box, but they're a developer that is so renowned and so, like, coming off The Witcher 3, they're almost in a position where they could dictate what the next standards are going to be. Like, they could almost work with hardware companies to say, this is what we're thinking, let's make this happen. Like, what hardware can you create to make this happen? That I think Nintendo needs to have with a couple of developers, obviously Naughty Dog being off the table, the platform, CD Projekt Red, those are really like the other two, I would say. So Square Enix is my cop out. I hope I didn't rush you. I don't know if you want to have a,
because I just have broad strokes. I have more broad strokes. I didn't get down into actual studios within, because I feel like, to me, why would you give it to BioWare? You would give it to EA, and say, like,
right,
you decide what game gets it, or give them a couple if you have to.
When I started thinking about like developers that have like multiple teams, so they've got a couple different BioWare offices, right? So one's working on Mass Effect, and one was working on something totally new. And I swear, if they announce something, anyway, that's for another podcast. But yeah, and same with CD Projekt. I believe they have two teams, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, some of those developers, Rockstar is another. I should mention.
Yeah.
Top tier stuff. But
Yeah, I was going to say
like
I have
multiple studios.
Rockstar. I have Rockstar on here. I have Rocksteady on my list. I've got EA.
Yeah.
I've got Bethesda. And I've got Activision. That's my top 5 that I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft. It's touchy because I feel like they burned Nintendo with the Wii U. And they're very vocal and they come out and talk negatively about Nintendo quite often. But I also feel like it's business and you can't hold that stuff personally. You just need to put things aside and make it happen because
there might be like a personality conflict between the two. Like there's a bit of an arrogance at Ubisoft, I think. Yeah. There's a bit of an arrogance at Nintendo as well. So they might just be clashing a little bit.
That's possible. But I feel like away from Rayman and all that stuff, like you need the Division. You need Assassin's Creed. You need Far Cry and all that stuff. You need those games on your console. This is how... Because ultimately, I feel like this, and this is where this topic came from the other day. The other day, someone was in the Nintendo voice chat and was talking about, like, one person was talking about, like, I can't believe that they don't have development kits out and all that stuff. And then this one guy come in like, I don't know what the big deal is. Like, I'm fine with Nintendo the way it is and this and that. And I'm like, if you truly,
I saw you comment there.
If you truly believe that we don't need third parties, you are insane. Like, Nintendo needs third parties. Nintendo needs to put that aura out there that anything you can get, this is why you buy this console. Because anything that you can get that the other guys are offering, you can get right here. But you also get all these Nintendo exclusives that you won't get over there. And that's what's going to make people buy the console. Mm-hmm. Because if I got a choice, if I have my choice where I'm going to buy Assassin's Creed, well, I got an NX. I don't have a PlayStation Neo. You know what? I'll just go to buy it here on the NX. Like that's the way it needs to be. So I feel like they need to get all these. Like you need Activision to hit with all these big games. You need Call of Duty. You need all this stuff there. You need Bethesda. You need Destiny. You need Bethesda because you want to bring Fallout. You want to bring Elder Scrolls, Doom. All the like Doom not on the Nintendo console. Come on, you got to do it. EA, you need all the Madden sports. You need Mass Effect. You need all these different games that they have coming. You want them there. Unravel that should have been on a Nintendo game on a Nintendo console.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. And Rocksteady, yes, you want to have the Batman games there and all that stuff, and you want to try to work that relationship because hey, who knows? Give them Metroid. And say, go have at it. So Rockstar,
ooh.
How can you not have, if they have Rockstar?
I've never heard anybody say that before.
What's that?
You just kind of breeze past that. Rocksteady doing a Metroid game.
I think that they would be perfect.
Are you kidding me? Like, why
awesome.
You do this to me at the end of every episode?
Because they would.
You just kind of like put this in there. I'm just like, what? Yes, absolutely. That is the answer. End the podcast. See you later, Cub Scout, whatever, XYZ.
The last thing I'll say is this.
XYZ you later. That should be it. What do we ABC you later? XYZ you later.
So every single independent developer that has helped us on the Wii U should have a development kit. Every single one. Mm-hmm. Because they're the ones that pushed you through and helped you. Yacht Club, Image and Form, Renegade Kid.
Oh, Yacht Club, yes.
They should all have. It shouldn't even be a single solitary question. They should all have them, and that's the way I would do it.
I mean, you can throw out a handful of those indie developers who have actually gone out of their way to make games on the Wii U.
Yes.
Who made I always forget the name. Mutant Muds.
Renegade Kid.
Yep. Oh, and then there was a third one I was just gonna say, and I lost it trying to think of that name too. Anyway, all these so after you launch, is it a different story? Like I can't remember if PlayStation you can use as a development kit, but I'm almost certain that you can turn any retail Xbox One into a dev kit.
Okay.
I would do the same with the NX as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you could do
once you launch. I mean, obviously that's after the fact. So
yeah, you probably just have to buy the program or whatever to convert it. So that's where we're at. What do you think?
I'm good.
Okay.
I CD Projekt Red, I think would be an amazing fit. It would really shock people. I like Square Enix. I want to rekindle that love. And something with BioWare, I think, would be really special, but I don't think that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if we ran Nintendo,
that's what we would do. So a vote for us is a vote for Reggie Fils.
And Rocksteady doing a Metroid.
That would be.
Good Lord.
Could you imagine?
That is the answer.
Yeah.
That is the answer. That will save the world.
That people would freak out, man. People would freak out.
That would actually set the moon in some weird rotation. That would be so. Oh my goodness.
That would be massive. But I don't think WB is going to let Rocksteady go anytime soon.
And definitely not to.
I kind of thought that relationship was starting to get a little rocky. Just because
it's a little rock steady though.
But I kind of felt that because of the whole Arkham Origins and WB trying to turn that into an annualized game. And I think it rubbed Rocksteady a little, I don't think they like that too much. So vocally, because look at it, like they're coming out with the trilogy. Or they're coming out with the 2 games, and it just doesn't make any sense why they're. Anyway,
it's possible.
Anyway, that's
one of those stories that none of us will ever know, and we wish we did.
And we should be talking about on this podcast anyway. So
you brought it up.
I know that's just me pushing on. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to us on iTunes and SoundCloud and all that stuff. Watching us on YouTube, we really truly appreciate all the comments, all the love. You can follow Sean on Instagram.
No, you can't. Not on Instagram.
I mean, iTunes. Oh, God. Twitter.
Oh, good Lord.
Twitter.
I throw up. If you're watching the video, you can see this cute little Spyro. He's just a little guy. He's a little mini Skylander.
See, that's the problem.
And it's throwing Bobby off completely. Look how cute this little guy is.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk, but you guys can't see it. But there's a little picture shown in the corner, and I see him like holding this stupid Skylander in the screen, like waving it and dancing and stuff, and I'm like, got my train of thought all off.
I got little Terrafin. This video because it's just fantastic. I mean, Terrafin's here waving, but he's little mini Terrafin. He's got a cute little name that I can't remember. But you can follow me on the Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants, and look for Bobby making a triumphant 3-peat. Because we just today booked some E3 reactions, so we will be doing shortly after Nintendo does a little bit of their Treehouse stuff. We're gonna do a reacts. We're gonna keep track of our scores. We're gonna look at what we predicted, see how we did. And I love talking to you. I'm really sad this is over, which is why I'm rambling at this point. But please take us home.
So you can follow me Instagram, Twitter at Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Cub Scout.
A-B, see you later. I gotta learn how to do that in sign language or something. It's like A-B, rock